Here's Dean here, talking some NBA DFS. The reason why we're coming on 6 o'clock, I'm sure y'all figured it out. Y'all pieced it together. You're smart there in the chat. 6 o'clock we're on because the slate starts later, 7:30, and it's not a big boy slate. It's kind of a small one for gamer. Of course, we hand the show off to the Crunch Time crew at 7 o'clock. It's myself and Keith. Keith, despite the fact it's a short slate, we still plenty of body parts to monitor. I saw you. You drew the short straw. You were lucky enough. Was this the first time you wrote the core plays article? I mean, Andy typically writes that. I saw Cards wrote it yesterday, but that's a lot of fun because it's just probably a lot of rewriting and if this and if that. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely a lot of updating throughout the day. I did do it a little bit over the playoffs last season, but just a couple of times. So first regular season core plays article for sure. And we changed up the format a little bit this year. But yeah, Andy asked me to do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, short 4-game slate, no problem. It'll be a breeze. And then I look at the injury report last night and we already had all the Sixers out, Jokic doubtful, Ja doubtful. And it's like, oh man, so there is actually going to be a lot going on the slate. And then coming into today, we get Ja Morant with a chance to play now, listed questionable, and Bones Highland, who is currently grading out as the absolute best value on the slate, pops up on the injury report, which could really throw things out of whack if he gets rolled out.
Yeah, he has an illness, and you never really know. Who knows what that means, right? What kind of fish he ate. But if he had the same thing that Aaron Gordon had, teammate Aaron Gordon was out for a week. And it's possible Gordon gave it to him. I don't know. No idea. But Gordon is back tonight for what it's worth. And you mentioned Jokic, and he's doubtful, but that's not because he's injured. It's a health and safety protocols thing. So he absolutely can jump from doubtful to probable in an instant. That's possible too. Same deal with Jamal Murray. We know LeBron James is not playing basketball. Ja Morant, they initially said week to week, right? So I think he missed one game. I would assume. You never really know. Why would they give him the midday upgrade to questionable? Yeah. I would assume he's not playing just because
you assume Ja's not playing?
Well, okay. Based upon week to week, you tell me week to week, and he hasn't been out for a week yet.
And this was Saturday, 3 days ago.
Yeah,
they announced that he is out week to week. But I mean, a midday upgrade to questionable. Why would they even mess with that if he's not intending on playing? He was at shoot around. I kind of feel like Ja's playing here.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at is it's a mixed message of you can't tell me week to week and tell me he's upgraded the questionable 3 days after he's week to week. I know my calendar. I know how many days are in the calendar. Again, and the NBA teams lie. It looked worse. It looked kind of bad. I think they take him off the court, I believe. I don't know, man. We'll see. And that's an 8 o'clock game. Every game's at a different time. Tonight, 7:30, Brooklyn, Philadelphia. Of course, we're going to break it down game by game. Whatever's on your mind, chat, feel free. We're going to join the conversation. It makes it more and more interesting show. If it's pertinent to the conversation, I'll do my best to get to it. Even if it's not relevant, for sure, we'll talk about it. Kind of hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We appreciate all that as well. Lakers and Phoenix, late night hammer, 10 o'clock, and you get that Detroit-Denver game at 9 o'clock. And typically we get a lot of times you get the updates an hour and a half before game time. It's when coaches tend to meet with the press. So 6 o'clock, Brooklyn and Philadelphia. Do we get any updates as far as that game by chance? We're not going to get starting lineups anytime soon, are we? Because that's
probably 30 minutes before. Brooklyn did have some news though. Yuta Watanabe is out and Nicholas Claxton is in. They were both questionable earlier today.
Yeah, Tobias Harris officially probable as well with his hip. Ben Simmons was supposed to start if Claxton doesn't play, but Claxton expected to play. Simmons has basically been playing the 5. This is this is the revenge game of all revenge games. I'm sure Philadelphia is going to give him going to treat him like a Santa Claus out there, right? They're probably not going to be very kind to him out there. I loved him if Claxton was out. I still think he's interesting. And you said Bones Highland is a value play, and that's not wrong per se. But I think I would make the argument on this slate right now. I don't think we have a value play. Is there one? You can go to the lineup HQ and I'm talking value play guys 3K, 4K. and like you feel confident they're going to play like 25 minutes and give you like 20 fantasy points. I don't think that person exists on this slate. You tell me.
Well, I mean, value as in 3K, 4K value is very difficult to come by. I think there's a lot of underpriced guys in the 5 and 6K range. But yeah, if we're talking like super cheap guys, DeAndre Jordan is grading out the best right now at 4,500 on DK. He's a little more expensive on FanDuel. We haven't projected for 26 minutes. I have no idea how much he's going to play. Aaron Gordon coming back makes me a little bit nervous on that. He played 33 minutes in their last game. If we knew we were getting 33 minutes of DeAndre Jordan, he would be a smash value play. You mentioned I did the core plays. I don't have DeAndre Jordan tagged as a core play at this moment because I'm a little bit concerned about those minutes. Like he could play 20 minutes in this spot. He would still be okay, but I would not want to play 20 minutes of DeAndre Jordan in any tournament lineup. It's kind of similar. The other value that's popping a little bit, who kind of makes everything work, is Furkan Korkmaz. And we have him at 22 minutes. He's coming back from an injury, and we have no idea how much he's going to play. So even the little value that we do have that's popping a little bit right now is very volatile.
See, Natasha in chat saying Bones is not going to play, according to a Denver beat writer, says he's not going to play. No, I did not see that. Drop a Twitter link in there if you don't mind. Please share that. I'm curious, but he is legitimately questionable. And again, who knows what he has? He could have possibly got what Gordon has. There's really no way of gauging how sick these guys may or may not be. And he is popping. I guess popping's not the right term, but on FanDuel, he is our best value. Like you go to lineup HQ, nobody's a 6X projection, but 5.88X is a Bones Highland. Of course, the price is up, but we're expecting him to play a ton. Obviously, the situation is fluid. If by chance Murray or Jokic or both play, all of a sudden, that completely would blow up what's going on with Denver. Forget about DeAndre Jordan. No way in the world we play DeAndre Jordan. If Jokic is back, I mean, especially at like a price that's, not the floor. Bruce Brown is our second guy. The sites also are really proactive as far as bumping some players up. Like Harris is 8.5, I believe, on FanDuel. Like DeAnthony Melton is in the mid sevens, and like he's like playable in the mid sevens. Like in what world? But okay.
I mean, he's going to play 38 minutes, so yeah, he's in play.
But if I told you, like not knowing anything else, that like DeAnthony Melton's going to be mid sevens, and you're going to consider playing him, you're probably going to have some shares like that. You have questions, right? Like, well, what's going on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely have questions. I do want real quick with the Bones thing. The other problem is he's not a starter. Like, so even if everybody's out, Murray's out, Jokic is out, and Highland does play 30 minutes, he's not going to start. So that's going to push back our timeline on that even further. Because when Denver announces their starting lineup, Bones is not going to be in it. And that doesn't mean that he's not going to play 30 minutes. So I'm very concerned about this situation. Hopefully we get some definitive news in or out before lock, but there's a good chance that we may not know this answer on Bones Island going into lock.
Oh, this is interesting. Don Yeezy says Simmons and Claxton are both going to start. Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Who would not? Maybe Dan House wouldn't play. He wouldn't start.
Yep. So
is that
going to run Durant at the 3, Simmons at the 4, and Claxton at the 5 probably, or some? I mean, it doesn't really, positions don't really matter, but yeah, I think House is the one that gets the boot, right?
Oh no, my bad. House is in the 76ers. I threw that thing off, obviously. We're projecting Kyrie, Royce O'Neal. Will he ever get another triple-double in his life? Royce O'Neal, what's the over-under on that? A half? You got a triple-double. That's like the one guy I faded on that slate, and like it was like a 4-gamer. I'm still upset about it. I could not believe he got a triple-double. Like, this is what's blowing up. All right. It's his daily fantasy sports. We care about today and today only, Keith, but good Lord. That's never happening again, right? Royce O'Neal getting a triple-double unless he goes and plays in Taiwan and against like Dwight Howard.
Right. Yeah, it's not happening with Kyrie and Durant and Ben Simmons all in the same lineup. Like, he may not take enough shots to score 10 points, let alone make them all. But I do think Joe Harris is probably the guy that gets the bump. Yeah. This is actually a bit of a downgrade for Simmons to me.
You want him at the 5?
Yeah. I feel like Simmons is going to play point here with Kyrie playing off the ball a little bit. I don't know that for sure. Right.
Richie says Royce gets booted. There's no way Royce gets booted. No, they need him for his defense, right? He's not
Right.
getting kicked out of the lineup.
Right. I
can't
think it
imagine
would be
that happening.
Harris.
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. Kyrie, O'Neal, Durant, Simmons, and Claxton. Huh. Man. All right. And we'll talk about Philadelphia. What do you think as far, we haven't really introduced that game just yet, but we'll talk about it. 216.5 is the total, which obviously not the most appealing total, but there are some interesting pieces in this game. And Philadelphia, if you're not aware, Embiid's not playing, Harden's not playing. They're without Maxey as well. So that they're three top, usage guys not playing basketball tonight, which is why DeAnthony Melton's interesting. Shake Milton is interesting. I'm going to get those two confused at some point, I'm sure. Melton and Milton. And Harris, 7.8K on DK, 8.5 on FanDuel. PJ Tucker, do you presume that Tucker starts at the 5? This game feels like a game that's going to be pretty small. I know theoretically there's a chance that Harrell can start. Theoretically there's a chance like Paul Reed can grab some minutes. I was talking with SBK before the show. He does projections for us, or is in the projection team. One of the quote-unquote potential cheapies that could work tonight is Furkan Korkmaz at 3K, still a minimum, but that feels so fragile and so thin. I don't know how many minutes. He could play 10. He could play 25. I have no clue. Have you ever seen this situation for Philadelphia? I don't know if we have with all these guys out.
I don't think with all 3 stars out, no. And with Tobias in. I think we had it maybe with Tobias out as well. I think Maxey was in and Tobias was out. Was the only situation we've had that was similar to this.
Yeah.
But this combination with Harden, Maxey, and Embiid out, I do not believe we've had.
So I feel like this is the game. Like, you got to get all the games right, obviously. But this one feels the most important. It has the most moving parts, and it's the trickiest to figure out, at least for me. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that, yep.
Yeah. I mentioned the
pending Denver news, but yes, as of right now with Bones in, yes, this is the trickiest one.
And then you make a good point about Bones, because usually it's a tell. Like we saw, we saw like Keldon Johnson like 10 days ago or a week ago. Like he wasn't
in the starting, right? And then we knew to take him out immediately. Like that was a red flag immediately. We're not going to have any tells like that on Bones Island.
Yeah, if he's not in the starting lineup, that doesn't mean he's not playing, because he doesn't. You don't assume. Even when we thought he was going to be in the starting lineup for several times, he's not in the starting lineup, which is a whole other conversation. I don't really know why that is, but whatever. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Denver 9:00 game. There was a beat writer dropped in there. I'm going to check the Twitter account that I asked Natasha the question. Harrison Wynn. Let's check out Harrison Wynn's tweets in a second, because I'm curious if there's something out there I'm missing, or, sometimes interpretation on tweets can be wrong, but I'm curious what this person has to say. Willing to listen. But let's talk about the first game first. That is Philadelphia and Brooklyn. You want to start with the Philadelphia side? Like, theoretically, there's supposed to be some really good value. Again, the sites preemptively bumped up some of these players. Harris at 7.8, 8.5 on FanDuel. Melton is 7.5 now, and he's playable. 7.4 on FanDuel. He's going to grab some ownership. And then there's Shake Milton, who's, I think, one of the better value plays in the slate as well. Who are you prioritizing first on the Philadelphia side?
It's Shake Milton, surprisingly enough. And that's just because he's a very similar play to DeAnthony Melton, but he's 2K cheaper. At least on DraftKings, pulling up his FanDuel price right now. Yeah, almost 2K cheaper on FanDuel as well. So I think they're both going to play 35 to 40 minutes. And they're very similar plays. Like Melton probably has a little bit more usage. He might handle the ball a little bit more, but just saving the money on Milton would make him the priority over Melton for me. But I still have a ton of interest in Melton. Just like somebody has to score on this team. I don't know that I trust Tobias Harris just to kind of take over and run this team. It's the two guards for me that are the priorities, Melton and Milton. With Milton being the cheaper option, he makes the most sense to go far overweight. I mean, he's going to play at least 35 minutes. I don't see any way around that. Sure, he could have a shooting night and fail that way, but this is a pretty good matchup against Brooklyn. You touched on it a little bit. The game environment here is not ideal. Both of these teams play pretty slow, But with everybody out for Philly, there's just so much usage to go around. They're going to play such big minutes because they're shorthanded. I don't see any way around Philly value, in particular the two guards.
Philadelphia might play a little bit faster without Embiid and Harden. Is that fair to say? Because like what their pace on the season's 25th, right? And I don't know. I mean, these are things we can check out. I didn't take a chance to look at that. But I mean, Brooklyn defensively this year, they've been kind of up and down, right? Weren't they really bad to start the season, and they've gotten better, if I'm not mistaken? Not great, but better.
Right. Yes, they have improved over the last couple of weeks. They're still like 22nd or something, though, I believe. They're still not great.
Yeah.
19th, yep.
And Philadelphia, top 4 defensively, but, you know, what are you going to do? What do you do with the sample? Like, it's different players, and there's no Embiid. And, yeah, I'm not reading into that one too much either. Running it. So making lineups, just kind of messing around, it's really hard to pay off Durant, especially with Kyrie back. Obviously, his usage is going to take a bit of a hit. The price is not fully adjusted. He's not down to like, 10K. He's still in the 11s, right? I'm not here to say you can't play Kevin Durant, especially on a 4-game slate. He's certainly going to put up 70 fantasy points. That's a guy you absolutely need. But he doesn't feel it's really going to hurt the rest of your lineup unless some value falls out of the sky, which things can happen. I am not prioritizing Kevin Durant. Are you?
I am not. And it's kind of what you mentioned there. Kyrie missed a bunch of time. He is back now. He only played 26 minutes in the last game. We currently have him projected for 33, so a nice bump there for Kyrie. Simmons missed some time as well. He's back in there and now playing a full allotment of minutes. Durant is just a little bit overpriced for how many options there are on this Brooklyn team. Don't get me wrong, he still has one of the best ceilings on the slate. He could absolutely smash, but the price tag is very difficult to get to when we don't have a bunch of these 3 and 4K value guys. All the values in the 5-6K range, and it's virtually impossible to jam in Durant and a bunch of 6K guys.
Who's your favorite player on Brooklyn? Watanabe, not who is it?
Don't make me say it out loud.
It's Ben Simmons, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I was really hoping for Claxton not to play just because I really wanted to play some Simmons today. Him playing alongside Claxton, though, you feel a little bit better as far as the minutes. Again, fantasy point per minute, probably a little bit. It takes a hit not playing the 5, but playing the 4. I'm guessing he's probably going to play some backup 5. Like they're probably going to, take him out at different times, I imagine.
Yeah, I could see Claxton getting a quick hook and then kind of varying the 5 minutes from there throughout the rest of the game. I definitely agree with that. Because what's their other option? To play Markieff Morris a bunch of minutes? I don't think they want to do that. So I agree with your thesis there that they will start on the floor together, but they won't play all that much on the floor together throughout the game.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of bigs. Day'Ron Sharpe, that's not going to happen.
Right.
The wings, you mentioned we're guessing Joe Harris goes to the bench. Seth Curry, theoretically, is a guy that could hit 5 or 6 threes, but more times than not, that's not happening. Cam Thomas, again, another guy who gets an opportunity, but probably not going to be there tonight. I mentioned Kyrie in passing. He played, I think, 28 minutes his first game back. It was a bit of a blowout. He lost a couple minutes in the fourth, and he didn't close in the second half for some reason. I'm not sure why. I think he didn't play the last 4 or 5 minutes or so of the first half. Maybe that was a conditioning thing. I assume he's pretty well conditioned. Kyrie, is he somebody that's in the conversation for you? 9.4K. I think he's a better play on Fanduel where he's 8.8 as opposed to 9.4 on DK.
Yeah, definitely prefer him on Fanduel. Cheaper salary, obviously, a little bit looser salary cap. He's much easier to fit in over there. It's really tough to get to him on DK. Again, though, we're talking about a 4-game slate, and he has one of the premier ceilings on the slate. So even on DK, where it's really tough to fit him in, and we're currently projecting him for nothing ownership. 2%. I haven't refreshed in a while, but 2.2% is about what we had as of when we jumped on the show here. So, I mean, that seems like a decent idea, even though him and Durant both, it's impossible to play them together, but I could definitely see one of them just taking over this game, especially against Philadelphia. Philadelphia, not a team we usually target, but they're without 3 best players. So different conversation here.
I found that Harrison Wynn, by the way, the beat writer for Denver. I went ahead and dropped it in chat. If you want to read some of his tweets, we'll talk about it when we get to that game. Have the conversation as far as Denver. But I could see what Natasha was talking about as far as Bones potentially not playing. And stay tuned. A lot of times we get clarity on this. The slate is kind of spread out, right? Like there's 4 different games at 4 different times. Are you leaving stuff open? How are you setting up your lineups to adjust for potential news?
So I've had a cash game mine pretty much all day because of writing the core plays article. I haven't completely thought through my tournament strategy to this point yet. I've got my contest reserve and anything, but I haven't built tournament lineups yet. I think that's an important point, though, is we do have some time in between each game where we can make decisions based on what news we do not have. The Denver game being at 9:00, I mentioned it earlier, we may hit lock without a full pick of what that Denver roster will look like tonight. So that's the one I'm most keeping my eye on is Denver.
These fringe Philadelphia players, who's the one that you're most likely to play? Like our projections, we're projecting 22 minutes of Furkan Korkmaz. I have no idea, man. And our projection team, for what it's worth, we do have, I think, at least one Philadelphia fan, if not 2 Philadelphia fans. So theoretically, they're plugged in more into that team than other teams, but who knows? Montrezl Harrell, I mean, I guess if he starts, sure, that changes the conversation. We're currently projecting him not to start and play 8 minutes. Paul Reed's a good fantasy point minute player, and he's pretty cheap. You can use some salary savers. At 17 minutes, theoretically, he can get there, do enough. Dan House, do you have a preference amongst all these guys that none of them feel very comfortable?
Yeah, none of them feel very comfortable. Korkmaz being the cheapest takes me there, but I don't really want to play into a 10% owned Furkan Korkmaz.
No.
And I don't necessarily want to tie up my roster spots with this type of fringe value. I think I would rather build around some of the Denver guys that we're going to get to, like the KCP, Zeke Naji, somebody like that on Denver. It's not none of them are going to be pretty, but no. I think I would rather build with those guys and save my roster spots and hope that the news just kind of breaks my way. If Bones does end up getting ruled out, like there's going to be some people popping on Denver that are not popping right now because we have Bones for 30 minutes and like the primary ball handler in the offense. So somebody like KCP would jump up quite a bit, I think. Maybe like Christian Braun, somebody like that. Like it's not comfortable names, but like they don't have anybody else unless miraculously but he's questionable too.
And they're facing Detroit. Like, are they the worst defense still in the league? If they're not the worst defense, they're like bottom 3. They're on the podium. Pretty horrific defensively, so theoretically it's a good spot for Denver.
Second worst and just barely to San Antonio.
Yeah, there you go. So that'll be a fun conversation when we get to Denver. What else do you want to stress here as far as Philadelphia, Brooklyn? If you're making a game stack here, how do you even go about making a game stack? Because I guess, well, you tell me.
I think I would want, if I'm game stacking, I want one of KD or Kyrie. I almost always prefer KD, but he is really hard to fit in on this slate. The ownership Kyrie hit the uncertainty with his minutes. I think that ownership is correct. So I'm kind of leaning towards going overweight on Kyrie just to save money and then pair him with like a Ben Simmons or Nick Claxton. On the Philly side, I definitely want Milton and Melton. I don't mind Tobias Harris. I don't mind Furkan Korkmaz. Even Danuel House is okay. I don't know. I probably just go 2-2 on this. And Melton are the easy plays from Philly for me. Like Brooklyn being such a big favorite, it's hard to play 3 Philly guys in that scenario because I don't think they really have a chance to win, but the value is on the Philly side. So maybe it does make some sense. But
give me Philly plus 7. What is it? 7.5? Is it the line? I'll take Philly and 7.5 in this game.
Nice.
7.5 or 6.5? What's the number?
I think it was even higher than that earlier. I don't have it pulled up.
Let's go to Scores and Odds, our sister channel. 8. I'll take 8. Give me Philadelphia and 8. That's too many points.
All right.
For Brooklyn, I know they've been playing better. And I know Philadelphia's without, 3 of their best players, but
yeah, I mean, Brooklyn's like fully in. Philly has nobody.
Yeah, but I don't know. This happens. The Heat almost won the other day with like their last like 6 guys. These things happen. Gorgui Yang, he still gets paid. He's a professional basketball player. I think it's a little bit too much. Maybe it's a bad take. I'm not here touting sports bets necessarily. Check out the Scores and Odds for things like that. I tend to hone in more on player props as well when it comes to those things. So your favorite fringe 76er is who again?
It's Maz, but it's an extremely fragile situation. He might play 10 minutes. If he's out there for 20 minutes, I think he's going to be involved. He can shoot a little bit. He can handle the ball a little bit. That's why I lean that direction. And he's the cheapest of any of them as well. So it's Korkmaz. I don't love the ownership. I would rather be able to fade it for some Denver value or something like that. Not sure if I'm going to have that answer. So I will likely end up on some Korkmaz and probably some House as well.
Yeah. He's dealing with a knee. It looks like he's going to be fine. He hasn't played more than 11 minutes all season. Like we know last year he got loose. Of course, we haven't seen a situation all season long either where they're without their 3 best players. I am really hesitant on that projection on Korkmaz. I don't know, man. I don't feel good about it. Is there any rules you put in as far as like if Korkmaz then like no Niang or something like that, or maybe 2 of or 1 of?
Yeah, Tybal would be the guy. I think if Korkmaz doesn't play, it's Tybal that picks up the minutes, and like he just doesn't do anything. So I don't want to play him. Yeah, exactly. He plays defense. That doesn't score many fantasy points. So I'm going to take the chance that it's Korkmaz that runs into the minutes. But yeah, if I was building a group like a 0 to 1 of people I think would be negatively impacted, I think Tybal would pick up the minutes that Korkmaz is projected for.
We got the update on Ja, and it's no update. He's a game time decision. So, okay. I mean, you think they would rule him out at this point if he's not going to play? I don't know, man. It's just weird. Are they desperate to sell tickets? It's a Tuesday night versus the Kings. And not exactly the most appealing. The Kings are better. We've been playing better. I'll give them that. It would look great in the Kings if they had like a guy like Tyrese Halliburton. Maybe he's spectacular. But that's a conversation for another day. What is there anything else here to say as far as Brooklyn, Philly? We're waiting for starting lineups. We did the best we could do with the information we have.
I don't think there's anything else. I mean, it's a 4-game slate, so you're considering guys you wouldn't normally consider on a full slate. We didn't touch on Royce O'Neal much. He had that outlier performance. He is a guy that's going to play a ton of minutes. He could run into a couple steals and blocks and maybe wind up useful. It won't be a ton, but I'll probably have a sprinkle of Royce O'Neal just because he's going to be on the court.
All right, game 2, like theoretically, this is like the DFS player's dream. 234.5 total, big boy number, high and tight. Memphis is just a 1-point favorite. So a lot of points in this game theoretically should not blow out. Not ideal is that everybody's healthy for Sacramento. Memphis, of course, is the issue here. John Morant, we don't know if he's going to play or not. Currently questionable if he's not. Okay, let's just say this. If Ja doesn't play, you're making 20 lineups. I assume you're doing your standard 20 lineups that we're doing tonight?
Yep.
We're lock button Tyus Jones?
Because of the Philly guys, I don't know that I would.
Okay.
I like Melton all much. I would certainly try to get as much as I could, but I think I might even prefer the Philly guys to Tyus Jones.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you can play them both, obviously, but yeah, I hear you.
Correct. Right. But we assuming Bones is in, he's a guy I want to play a ton of. Bruce Brown is a guy we're going to talk about. And there's a ton of guard plays. I don't think I would lock
forward, but yeah, Brown's a small forward, but yeah.
Okay. Fanduel, he's guard only, I believe.
Okay.
Because Fanduel forward is absolutely atrocious.
It's a rough slate, but okay. So if nothing else, Tyus Jones is a really strong play. We can say that. If
for sure. Yes.
Okay. If Ja does,
Tyus would be on the level of of who's the cheap one, Milton or Melton? I forget. Milton is the cheap
Milton.
one. Like he is every bit as good of a play as Milton. Absolutely.
This is like the old Letterman, like Oprah Uma bit on the Oscars. Dating myself with that one, but and Dylan Brooks, we can't. If Ja does play, there's no chance we're playing Dylan Brooks at 7.3K. Get out of town. Like, what are we talking about?
Dean,
8K on Fanduel. 8K.
It's a 4-game slate. What if Ja tweaks the ankle in the first quarter?
Then I close my laptop. We watch Netflix. Like, you're not paying. Dylan Brooks was 5K on Fanduel like 4 days ago, and it was underpriced. And now he's 8K. These sites, I appreciate.
So if Ja gets ruled out, you don't want to play Dylan Brooks?
Oh no! I said if Ja plays, there's no chance I'm playing Dylan Brooks.
So you're fully trusting that 3 days removed from a week-to-week injury, that Ja Morant is going to start and finish this game.
Dude, I don't know. Like, but why would you force it? Like, unless he's not 100, there's no just
because it's a 4-game slate.
No. I'm saying, why would the team let him?
Play
unless he's full go? Like, not an issue.
Oh boy, here we go. Jokic questionable.
So that doesn't make any sense because either it's not that it's an injury, it's just it's a COVID thing. Now, did he just pass like the next step? And how many more steps are left? Or maybe now it's a conditioning thing.
Jamal Murray questionable.
That's the thing, right? So it's not. Both those guys are healthy, right? They're fine. They have no body parts. I thought you're either just you pass the protocols or you don't,
or you did not. Right. I'm with you there.
How do you go to question? What made them doubtful to questionable is what I'm asking. What changed? What happened? How many steps are there? Do we know?
No, I have no idea what the NBA protocols are, but
yeah.
I mean, oh geez.
Yeah. So I don't even know what they're.
So that article, I might have to rewrite that all on the air.
No. Direct them to the lineup HQ tool. Direct them on the crunch time. I think that's what Andy does too. Like, you can't. Like, I don't think anybody's reading the article reading the article at like 7:00 at night. I don't think. Maybe one guy, but like there's a note that says for the latest for the crunch time. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely put the note in there that we'd be on GrindersLive discussing it. So it was a joke.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That would be fun though. You would be like, can you filibuster for 7 minutes if you don't mind?
Yeah. Because this like completely wipes out. Like if Jokic plays, it changes the entire slate.
Correct. And Murray to some extent. I don't even know what their prices are. I assume they're just kind of like standard, what they typically are. Jokic 11.6, Murray 7K on DK. So yeah, okay. It's not like you're getting it on the cheap or anything. You're not getting a COVID discount. We'll get to that game in a second, but we'll put that one on layaway. That's a fun one for sure. But again, it's all going to be a bunch of ifs and thens and ifs and this and if that. And it's a great conversation to have when you have just no information and you're just throwing darts. But we do know that, again, good game environment, 234.5 total, Sacramento and Memphis. I guess we should talk about Sacramento first, too. Not getting a ton of ownership on the Sacramento side. Again, they're fully healthy. Of course, you can play De'Aaron Fox. You can play Sabonis as well. I'm having a hard time finding the money to play him. And if I have one big spend, is it going to be De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis? And that's where I'm at. I don't even know if I have one big spend. Just the way it's more like you're just hammering like 6 and 7K guys, right? Is it going to be De'Aaron Fox as your one big spend this late? Probably not. Can it be? Sure. And then you have like Keegan Murray, who looks fine at 4.4, but he's been pretty unspectacular. It's a nice way of saying that. He's a rookie. We'll figure it out at some point theoretically. But I don't like the Kings just in general in this game. Do you?
I like the game environment, but I kind of agree with you that like even one big spend is tough. And I definitely want to play some Anthony Davis on this slate with no LeBron James. And I want to play a little bit of Kyrie and Durant as well. So I'm running out of roster spots because I can't fit 2 in most lineups. I like Fox. I like Sabonis, but I think you covered it well. I don't know. I have them down as some of my favorite GPP plays, but it is difficult to get to them. But the game environment has me kind of think, and maybe I end up with an underweight. If we don't know what Denver's doing, I might end up just fading Durant and Kyrie and playing a little Fox and Sabonis just to buy myself that half hour.
You got to think, going back to Denver, like it's a 9:00 game. Like they have to know, they have to make a decision as far as protocols. Like they're not going to, that's not something that goes up to the wire, right? They have to know theoretically at like 7:30. I'm guessing this is an 8:00 game, Sacramento, Memphis. That's why I'm like bringing it up. It's an hour before Detroit, Denver. And I feel like we would have the information on Detroit, Denver before Sacramento, Memphis tips off. That's just a guess though. We might not have Bones though. That one we might not have.
Right.
So
Bones might not matter. Bones might not matter if Murray's playing.
Correct. That's a good point.
This is a wild. This is the most wild 4-game slate I can remember.
Keith, are you thankful that you're not on crunch time tonight?
I am. Yes. I had my fun with the article today. Somebody else can handle the leading up to lock news.
Ownership right now on DK, we do have Fox getting 16%. It's just a 4-game slate, so ownership's got to go someplace. Monk is grabbing 12%, Murray 11, Sabonis 10, and that's basically it. Terrence Davis. The Terrence Davis game probably might never happen again. I don't know. That was pretty fabulous. Your favorite king? I'm sorry if you said it already. My apologies, but you like Fox. I like Fox too, but I don't know. And I agree, he's a good tournament play. I don't know how I'm going to make him work. Is just kind of my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a decision between Fox and Kyrie for me. With this stuff that's going on in Denver, I'm kind of leaning towards Fox now, where I was leaning towards Kyrie coming into this. So it's Fox over Sabonis just slightly. Both of them are completely. I feel like Fox just has a slightly higher ceiling. Memphis plays pretty fast, so I like Fox in a fast game environment. I don't have a ton of interest in any other Kings. You mentioned Keegan Murray. I don't mind him as a dart throw. Terrence Davis is 4-2 still. That's okay. But yeah, Fox would be the main piece here.
Mr. Papa Giorgio in chat says, how about the cheaper Kings? Barnes, Herter, Murray, and Monk. All things considered, it sounded like you like Murray the most because he's like 4-4. That's at least if I was hearing you correctly.
Yeah, and you said he's a rookie and hasn't quite figured it out, but I mean theoretically he's a lot more talented than like somebody like Harrison Barnes. We know what Harrison Barnes is. Like the upside Murray feels a lot better to me, so I'd rather take chances on a young guy having a breakout game.
Corey Thomas has a question in chat. Do you like Westbrook tonight on FanDuel or Melton or Westbrook?
Wow, are they similarly priced?
I think Westbrook's $7K on FanDuel. So yeah, there's similar prices. Melton's like 7.3 or 7. He's 7.4. So yeah, they're similar price.
Yeah.
No LeBron, obviously.
I think Westbrook is a great play with no LeBron. I think it's slightly Melton, but the ownership is going to be drastic. So depending on your line, if you need a way to differentiate your lineup, I'm completely fine with Westbrook Melton. Is
it correct to say that Russ is probably not as good a fantasy player on FanDuel because of all those turnovers? I would imagine so. Yeah, 1.2 on FanDuel, 1.26 on DK. And it's not like he gets this big boost from three-pointers, but it's just he turns the ball over so much, and you'd rather lose a half a point as opposed to a full point. But also the price is different there too. He's 8.3 on DK and 7.2 on FanDuel. So, it's kind of built in, I guess.
Yep.
So I'm looking for some other potential cheap stuff. Oh, Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. And I think this is more like where you're shopping. Again, FanDuel, super proactive. 8.2K for Triple J. Like, seriously, what are we doing? Does FanDuel give you points for fouls now? I love Triple J, but I can't imagine paying. I mean, I guess you can pay too, but I can't recommend that. I understand how he can get there, but he's 6'4" on DK. What's your thought as far as Triple J?
Yeah, I think he's a fantastic tournament play on DK. On FanDuel, if Ja plays, I don't see much upside on that price tag. He would have to have like a 95th percentile out. Like he needs 50 points at that price pretty much to win a tournament with him. He can do that, but I don't think it's very likely. So yeah, I will play some on DK. Even if Ja plays, I think he has upside on DK at 6,400. That 8K FanDuel tag is just too much for me though.
You want to feel old. Triple J, no longer 18. He's no longer 19. He's actually 23 now. Yeah.
Moving on up. He's past Jason Tatum then, huh?
Yes. What is Tatum really, like 25? I think he's 25 now. Is that right?
That's in the right range, yeah.
I think so.
He might be younger than that. 24.
Maybe he's 24. Yeah. We have a machine we can type this in.
There he is.
We'll get to it at some point.
Devin's all over it. 24 years old.
24 years old? All right. Andrew's asking about Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon. Are they both in play? We'll talk about Denver in a second. Maybe is the answer. Maybe. Maybe they can be really good plays or really bad plays. They can be both. And it's pending news, and we'll stay tuned on that. As far as can I get the Brandon Clark game? Is Domantas Sabonis can grab some fouls and get Adams in trouble. We saw Clark play coming off the bench. He played over 20 minutes in the first half the other day, which was just spectacular. That's really hard to do. Steven Adams got 3 fouls in 3 minutes. I don't know if Triple J was available in that game now that I think about it, but I'm just trying to think of different ways on a 4-gamer, who could be the guy. And Clark is, a good fantasy point minute player. Probably not going to play more than 20 minutes unless some sort of goofiness happens. I'm looking for routes here, Keith. Do you got anything here?
Triple J did play that game that Brandon Clark went nuts. Yeah. So all you need is some Steven Adams foul trouble, and I don't hate that call. Especially against Sacramento. Sabonis is not a rim protector. He's found himself in foul trouble often this season. I can get on board with that, actually.
I'm just looking for a way to save some money because I just don't like where we're at as far as some of the salary savers right now. And that's a little bit different as well, too. And, Clark is he's really active. When you don't have him and he's having one of those Brandon Clark games,
he just won't stop. Yeah.
He does not stop. He's a super energy guy out there, man. Always on the boards, always working hard.
Well, here comes the Denver projection. So to see what that looks like now.
Well, what are we projecting Murray and Jokic in now?
Yeah, they got upgraded to questionable. You have to. That's the rules of projections.
You are on the projection team, so I yield to you.
Yes.
That's a general rule? I know sometimes the projection team will take a stand and say, I know this guy's questionable, but I feel really confident he's out, or I feel really confident he's in. But now we're assuming that Jokic is going to be in and Murray's going to be in, and now Denver looks worthless, basically.
They went from being the most popular team on the slate to you just can't play them. So, we have to complete, like I said, it completely changes the slate because they were some of the best value plays. They still have a fantastic matchup against Detroit, but Jokic hasn't played in how long? We've talked about zero value on this slate, and now we have even less value because
it's hard to get the Jokic. Yeah, how do you even get the Jokic? You can't use the Denver value pieces to get to him.
Exactly,
they're now worthless. Our projection system's going to still be popping for Denver again? The Brooklyn Philadelphia game might have some of the better pieces. And people are going to be waiting on Denver, and Denver to go kaput at 7:01. And then people are going to be like, well, man, I wish I had more Brooklyn Philadelphia because now I'm scrambling for anything. This is one of the more difficult slates that I can remember.
It's only 4 games, so our options are limited in the first place. And then this Denver situation is just completely bizarre. I already hated what was happening with Bones Highland, and now upgrades to Jokic and Murray. It is just a cluster.
Do you want to do a quick if Jokic and Murray are in on Denver, and I guess then nobody looks good, right? And am I wrong to say that? Of course you can play Jokic, but there's no discount. Maybe he doesn't play 36, 37, maybe plays 32 minutes. What are we projecting as far as his minutes?
I'm low 30s refresh right now. We should have projections in there at this point. I'm just waiting for my lineup HQ to load back up. All right, we have Jokic.
Yep. So they're giving him a slight hit. Yeah. And 32 for Murray for what it's worth. And Gordon also coming back from his illness, 32 minutes. But
yes,
Gordon looked good in the absence of Jokic and Murray at 5'6". I think he's still fine for what it's worth, assuming he's, you're getting a healthy Gordon and there's no limitations, which we don't know. And then guys like Bones and Jordan and KCP, revenge game. Bruce Brown at 6K becomes unplayable, I think. Give me the quick rundown as far as Denver under the assumption Jokic and Murray are in.
Yeah, under the assumption that they're in, I don't have a ton of interest. Aaron Gordon might be the one. He's had some success. And you know what? Michael Porter Jr. actually plays better with Jokic than he does without, which makes sense. He's a shooter. Jokic is one of the best passers, if not the best passer in the league.
Yeah.
So I actually have slightly more interest in MPJ. And Gordon as well, but I'd put MPJ and Gordon move to the top of the list. Bones Highland and Bruce Brown go from projecting as the best value when we jumped on the show to completely unplayable on the slate.
Yeah, Rolando in chat says they're both doubtful. That means they're out. Quit playing. If it was a body part, if it was like a head or a thigh or a toe or whatever, and they were doubtful, then sure, I hear you. But this is a special circumstance.
And they are not doubtful. They have been upgraded to questionable, which is a big deal in the middle of an NBA day. Yeah.
So, and they just have to pass whatever the next step of COVID protocol is, and we'll see. But if you're asking me to guess, I would guess they're playing, but I don't know. That's what we're doing here. We're just guessing.
It's wild to say this after where we started this morning, but as of right now, if I had to guess at Denver and who was playing, I would say Jokic and Murray and Bones Highland out.
Yeah,
just the way the injury tags have flowed throughout the day.
And they wouldn't need Bones as much if he's not feeling 100%. They're getting Murray and Jokic back. They're also facing Detroit at home. They probably don't need Bones, right? If he's not feeling great, give him a day. And he also worked hard the last week. So that's where I'm at as well too. That's just how the NBA
it's wild.
What about Detroit? Cunningham is going to be out for a while. He's out tonight. No Sadiq Bey. They are going to have Corey Josephs available. No Beef Stew. Isaiah Stewart is out as well. I don't know what they're doing with their rotations. I think Detroit is well positioned for the Tankathon. I think they're one of the worst teams in the league record-wise, and Cunningham being hurt for a while is good for them. And I don't know what they're going to do with their rotations. It's going to be a mess. Ivy theoretically could be good, but the matchup against KCP is not necessarily great. Gordon's a good defender as well too if he crosses up with him. Bogdanovich looks okay. Do you feel good about Alec Burks or Jalen Duran, the rookie off the bench? Kevin Knox is getting minutes in this team. I had no idea he was still in the league. What's your assessment as far as Detroit? It's a big mess to me.
Yeah, it is a big mess. I think Alec Burks would be disgustingly the one I feel the best about. It's a price thing. He's played okay the last couple of games here. 24 minutes. I think there's room up on those minutes. Ivy's okay, but the price is adjusted now. Mm-hmm. I would much rather play Jaden Ivey than I would Alec Burks, but it's like a 2K price difference now. So Alex Burke is priority here for Detroit. I do want to touch on, before the Denver stuff shook out, one of my, DeAndre Jordan was obviously grading out as an excellent value for Denver with Jokic out. And one of my favorite ways to get away from that chalk was these Detroit big men, Jalen Duren and Marvin Bagley. Mm-hmm. Jordan is he's, I don't know, not a great defender at this point in his career. And he could play 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden he fails as chalk. Duren and Bagley, the minutes are completely up in the air. They're probably going to split the 5 minutes. So you take your 48 minutes of Duren and Bagley and you divide them up, whether it's 28 for Bagley and 28 for Duren, or 28 for Duren and 20 for Bagley. I don't know. So I would just build a group 0 to 1 of Bagley, and then I would play a good chunk of both of them. Now with Jokic back in on the other side, I don't like it as much because we don't have the 4,500 center chalk that I would be gaining leverage on. So it's not as good of a play as it was, but that was going to be one of my biggest overweight stances, is on Duren and Bagley both, but not playing them together at all.
Just this is noteworthy. I went to scores and odds. Nuggets opened today 6.5 as far as the line. It was 8.5. Now it's 9.5. I mean,
that sounds like they're not playing.
No. Well, it sounds like Jokic and Murray are playing.
Oh yeah, it's moving towards Denver. Yeah,
it's Denver minus 9.5 now.
Yep.
So like that, if Jokic and Murray weren't playing, it probably wouldn't be 9.5.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. My lean is that they're playing, and that's, again, we don't know. We know as much as everybody else watching, but educated guess suggests to me, and news flow suggests that we're going to get Jokic and Murray coming back tonight. Your favorite play on Detroit, if you had to pick one, all things considered?
It's Alec Burks. It's gross, but we're starved for value. He's going to play, 24 minutes at least, I would say, with a chance for 28. He's in the 4K range. He's going to get some usage on this team with no Cade Cunningham, no Sadiq Bey. I do like Duren and Bagley as pivots, not as much as I did before Jokic was playing, but I will have some exposure there. And then we need to talk about Bogdanovic, especially on FanDuel.
FanDuel's got a good price.
Yeah, he's 5,800 on FanDuel, and forward is absolutely. He's grading out as a slightly negative value right now, but earlier in the day he was our only positive value at forward on FanDuel. So 5,800. He's not a guy you think of as a ceiling guy, but I don't know. Like with no Cade, no Bay, I could see him putting up a pretty decent game. We know he's going to be out there for 30 plus minutes, so. He's a safer play more than he is a ceiling play, but I think you need some exposure on FanDuel where forward is terrible.
We are projecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Pistons. The Pistons, we saw this last year. They're not afraid to run like a 12-man rotation, and it's all, and it's just all kind of sort of gross. We're giving 5 minutes to Corey Joseph, who's available. Knox, 8 minutes. Livers, 20. Like, he's 3-3. He's a guy that might do things if the game possibly gets ugly. Nerlens Noel is getting 15 minutes. By the way, Dex is a great question in chat. Who are the 4 sure locks for tonight? That's a good question.
Anthony Davis, if you can afford him, but I don't think you can afford him now.
Yeah.
I think the Philly value is ending. Milton. Yeah. Outside of that, there's not a lot. Depending on what happens with Memphis, Ja Morant, and what happens with Denver, Jokic and Murray. Maybe one of those 3 guys ends up getting rolled out and we get a little value back, but we have a lot less value now than we did when we jumped on the show here.
Jason Lee in chat says, not that ESPN's the absolute answer, but they have Jokic listed as out. Yeah, don't go by that. That's going to be behind.
The beat writers are definitely
Mallrats or Vanilla Sky or Almost Famous. What else was Jason Lee in? I don't remember. But all right, let's talk about the last game. We're going to hand it off to the Crunch Time crew in about 5-10 minutes. They're going to jump in. We do have to talk about the Lakers and Phoenix. 227 is the total. Lakers on the road here, 10-point dogs. I believe they're still winless on the road. They've gotten punched in the face every single game on the road. Probably not going to turn around tonight in Phoenix. Phoenix, obviously, a pretty good team. They are without Chris Paul, but the Lakers are without LeBron. Same deal with Phoenix. Shamet and Johnson are both out as well. We're expecting Anthony Davis to be good to go. Juan Toscano-Anderson's out. Max Christie out for Lakers. Those don't really matter so much. You mentioned Anthony Davis. If this game stays close, it's probably because Davis is having himself a good game. He's, obviously expensive, but that is the first place you're looking for as far as the Lakers. If it blows out, I think Thomas Bryant is an interesting, what if this game blows out piece. Again, this is just, I don't feel great about it.
If we lose DeAndre Jordan, does Thomas Bryant become chalk? I think he kind of does.
No, I mean, what is his projection, 15 points? I think you're building a different way. Well, yeah, you're saying if the games have already ended and you're stuck on Jordan at 8:30, if you need an emergency pivot, then maybe it's Bryant.
Definitely then. There's no value on the slate now, Dean. I think Thomas Bryant's going to run into ownership unless Denver news before lock, I kind of think Thomas Bryant's going to be owned.
Would you play Thomas Bryant if I told you he was getting you again, every slate is different. This is one of those slates as of right now. And if the news flow goes the way they were expecting, 18 points, is that good enough for if it opens up all your stuff for you? It's bad. It's not great.
18 is not enough for a tournament.
No.
I need 25 probably in a tournament.
You're probably not getting it. We are predicting 20 fantasy points out of him, actually, at 3.4K. That's usable. You're right. That's probably going to hit optimals. I've not run optimals since all this news has come in. but that might
Yeah.
be usable.
And there's room up on those 18 minutes. It was the Spurs, obviously. He played 22 minutes in the last game and had almost 28 DK points. Obviously, he had a much better matchup against the Spurs than he does against the Suns, but that's interesting for sure.
Michael in chat says Korkmaz might be 80% owned. I don't think he should be. Like, that seems to be like really sketch. I don't know where his minutes are going to land, but probably between 10 and 20. I don't know. It's just, and the Philadelphia thing, I think it's just going to be like game flow. Like, who's playing well? And if you're playing well, or if it's a disaster for Gordon Yang, he's not hitting the threes, like he's going to get kicked off the court, and they'll figure it out along the way. But I don't know how you project it. The
problem is they can't. There's really only one guy that can lose minutes because they don't have the bodies outside of that, really. I mean, Harrell could play more, I guess, but like,
Reed.
Yeah, but they're not really interchangeable with Korkmaz and Tybal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, they're not. I don't think they're going to play Harrell and Tucker on the floor together. Maybe I'm wrong. They certainly won't play Harrell and Reed on the floor together.
I feel like, wasn't there a game where they did start Harrell alongside Tucker in a previous game earlier in the year?
There might have been this season, but I don't think that's their preferred way to play.
No, I expect they're going to start Tucker at the 5.
Especially against Brooklyn, who's going to run Simmons at the 5.
Give me your assessment as far as Phoenix and the Lakers before. The crunch time crew's coming in soon. Where are you at as far as the Lakers and Phoenix?
I want to find a way to afford Anthony Davis. I think he's the best play on the slate. He's been absolutely smashing without LeBron James. Russell Westbrook, a fine tournament play. On FanDuel, he's cheaper, a little bit easier to get to, so I'll prefer him there. Phoenix side, Devin Booker is an absolutely fantastic play. Again, tough price tag, but no Chris Paul has a higher ceiling. Lakers have been playing good defense, but I think that he's absolutely in play if I can get there with the price. Ayton is the one that I'm kind of back and forth on. He's projecting really well, grading out really well, but he's been really inconsistent this season. I probably end up underweight on him if he comes in 35% owned. Not much interest in Phoenix outside of that. You can take shots on cheap guys like Torrey Craig. Like the values this on the slate. When guys like Torrey Craig and Furkan Korkmaz and Thomas Bryant are our best value options, it's a rough one.
Lakers defense has fallen off. It was really good to start the season. Last 10 games, they are 20th in defensive rating for what it's worth. So it's not been as good. A little bit better last 5, but to start the season, they were like one of the worst offensive teams, one of the best defensive teams. I think Booker is a fabulous play. It's just a salary thing. Booker and Davis playing those two against each other is kind of interesting. I saw somebody in chat mention Campaign. Of course, he's been playing a ton in the absence of Chris
price.
Paul.
The price is tough.
That's kind of what I was asking.
Yeah, one more name, Troy Brown Jr., just because of the severe lack of value. Troy Brown Jr. should play some minutes. He's 3,600 on DK. I think these cheap Lakers might come into play because they start after Denver. If Jokic and Murray are playing and we lose all that Denver value, we might get some ownership on the Lakers.
Jay in chat saying that Harrell is starting. I do not see that anywhere. Do you see Harrell starting anywhere? I don't see that.
Nope, do not.
I would love confirmation. Give me a tweet, Jay. We're gonna get a starting lineup soon for Philadelphia. Obviously, that game starts in a half hour, but if he starts, we're playing Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah.
He was called what? Ivy or Payne? You like Ivy or Payne? Pick one of those two. He said that check mark on FanDuel. Okay. Does I don't know how official the check mark on FanDuel is. But interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I would definitely yield. We have not seen an official 76ers lineup. So no, I will wait and see on that.
Did you say
what
an
was the
answer
question?
as far as Ivy versus Payne for tournament?
Give me Ivy there.
All right. We're gonna hand this off to the Crunch Time crew. Roth, you got a 4-gamer, but multiple people in chat are saying Harrell is starting.
Okay.
I don't know where they're seeing this, but I'm not seeing it on Twitter. We'll get it soon. Tim, you seeing this? You seeing this anywhere? Andre, you guys see Harrell starting for Philadelphia?
No,
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Apparently, according to Fanduel, and of course, Fanduel sponsors our crunch time here, so they're never
we,
wrong.
we love Fanduel, but don't use their check marks. but we love you, Fanduel. We do love you.
I need a second source.
Red Scale has this absolutely right. I regret playing this slate. That's the correct answer here.
Yes.
This is the hardest 4-game slate I think I've ever played.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if you watched our show, Tim, but me and Keith is just we're if this and if that. We think that Jokic and Murray are playing. Do you believe that as well?
I do.
Okay.
I think Jokic and Murray are in. I think Bones is out. That's what I'd guess.
Does it matter though if Murray and Jokic are in? Not really.
Oh.
Like you're not playing them either way.
You're not?
No. If Murray and Jokic are in, I'm not playing Bones. Why would I play Bones?
Oh! I thought you said you're not playing either Murray or Jokic if they're playing. That's what I
still might not.
Oh, okay. I was like, all right, because I have some interest in Jamal Murray if he's in.
Yeah. Well, you guys are going to talk about it. You got anything else, Keith, before you scramble and make some lineups?
Good luck, guys. This is a tough one.
I appreciate said hello to Roth, but what's up, Roth?
Hey, what's happening?
Harold is starting.
Harold's in. Harold's starting.
Our sponsor, Fanduel, they knew all along.
Fanduel 1, me and Keith 0.
Yeah.
Chat 1 too. I don't know where they got this information, but okay. They beat Twitter, so congrats. So I guess we're playing Montrez Harrell?
Milton, Melton, Harris, Tucker, and Harrell.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe some Paul Reed. The Harrell things. I want you guys to talk about Harrell. Well, you will. I'm sure you will. Roth, myself, and Keith are going to make some lineups. Start of the FanDuel sponsored Crunch Time. It's Keith, it's Tim, and it's Roth. Roth, take it away.
What's happening? It's Keith? Did he say it's Keith?
Well, my middle name is Keith, but he didn't know that. No one knows.
I'll allow it. Yeah, I was like, I don't think it's Keith at all. I think Keith just left. But hey, welcome to it. This is indeed Crunch Time. It's sponsored by FanDuel. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz helping to break down this apparently very difficult slate. One, we got TastefulTides, a.k.a. Tim. What up, Tim?
How are you doing, Kevin?
Man, I'm pretty good. I have no interest in playing this slate. Just based on what I've heard, I will not be jamming in any lineups. But I'm excited for you guys to break it down. Is it cool if you are my cash guy today? Can you handle that?
Yes, that would probably be better. I'm more of a cash game single entry player anyway. So that's
right. My concern here is that on this slate, I feel like you drew the short straw because it feels like cash is incredibly hard.
Yeah, it is pretty hard tonight. Originally, about 30 minutes ago, I was like, I'm only going to lock in one 76ers player and then kind of see where the news falls. But given that we have Harrell now, and given the fact that I think that we're losing, I personally think we're going to lose some of that Denver value. So I'm actually locking in 3 Philly players in cash on DK. So, yeah. But just so everyone knows, that isn't exactly a lock that, Murray and Jokic are going to play. So I could be wrong, and you could end up having the best value on the slate could still end up being Denver. But
something. And to be clear, you're locking it in early, and then the value might open up later, and then you would just be like, "Well, shit."
Yeah, there's 4 games tonight, and they all start at different times. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting the way that this slate lines up in terms of time. Originally, we thought that Murray and Jokic were going to be out, and that maybe even Bones Highland was going to be out. So it was going to be like tons of value on Denver. But then Murray and Jokic got upgraded to questionable. So that means that they must have passed some kind of health and safety protocol, at least their initial test. I don't know exactly what those protocols are now, but they must have passed something because they got upgraded.
Sure.
So,
well, we'll walk through kind of what we're doing on FanDuel and DK, but also we got Dre joining us as well, who's just munching. He's just munching and crunching over there. What are we eating? Is this just like standard potato chip?
No, I'm having Tostitos with some Tostitos cheese dip. Queso.
Oh, God, that's good stuff, man. I remember. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. I remember when I was your age and I could eat that kind of thing. That's delicious. Tim,
Hey, I'm not that much older
by the
than you.
way,
Not that much
this is hilarious because Tim owned a cheese shop of fancy cheeses, and he must be so offended to see.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I really am not. I love all that stuff. All that stuff.
All right. All right. Well, then we'll allow it. Dre, how do you feel about this slate here? Do you have any takes? You feel like you feel confident where you're at?
I think it's definitely a fun slate. It is probably a little bit difficult, but I think there's a couple locks, but we'll get into those and we'll see what happens. But I like the slate. I like slates like these.
I would think from a tournament perspective, it's got to be pretty fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Alan says Crunch Time sponsored by Tostitos, and I like that. We'll have to reach out, see if we can get that sponsorship. Tim, let's start over on FanDuel here and walk me through what you're doing. I realize that maybe even some of your core plays or your locks aren't as core or lockish as they maybe normally would.
That's true, except for one. I think Shake Milton is a core lock. Like I was gonna play him regardless of any kind of Denver shenanigans or anything like that. So I think you can lock him in your point guard shooting guard spot on FanDuel and on your point guard spot. I mean, excuse me, your point guard shooting spot on DraftKings and your point guard spot on FanDuel. So either site you're playing in, I think that you're locking him up. First thing, first game, doesn't matter. I think I would be overweight him in tournaments, even, but I'll let Dre talk about that. Then, me personally, I'm locking in DeAnthony Melton for Philly. Also, I'm going to play Milton and Melton. I think they're just going to run the show. Their minutes are solidified. I don't have to worry about any of the news later. I think they're going to be good plays regardless. So I think those two guys, and then I think I kind of want to see what our projections team has for minutes for Montrez, but assuming he would get 24 minutes, I'm assuming that he would probably be in optimals. So right now I have him in, but I kind of want to see what projections have.
So a quick question on Montrez, like if he goes out there and he's balling, does he have potential to play 36 minutes, or is that just not ever a thing, even starting and balling?
See, I would like to think that he could go out there and just stay out there and ball, but I'm not the coach, and it's just weird. It's just weird sometimes that you have a player who hasn't shown like huge upside and that you don't let him run if he's playing well. And the reverse is true also. Like if he goes out and he just doesn't have it, I bet he has a pretty quick hook, which makes me a little bit hesitant about him. But I think I'm going to roster him. I'm going to roster him anyway.
Right. I definitely know that there's the reverse of that. Like that's a concern. But I was wondering if there is a massive ceiling there, minutes wise, but maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think he's like a huge minute ceiling, but he's not the type of player that needs a ton of minutes. Like he can go out there, get a ton of rebounds, some stocks, a couple dunks, and he's not that expensive. So
you can get a
he doesn't need all the minutes he can handle to return value.
Okay, so you got Melton, and
it's definitely Milton. I would 100% play Milton. I would 90% play Melton, and then me personally for my team, I'm playing Montrez.
Okay, well let's go through some of these other positions and who else you're kind of filling in that's a little more questionable.
Yeah, so on FanDuel at small forward, Bogdanovich has a pretty decent price at 5,800. That matchup, that game is, I think, one of the better game stacks of the night. And small forward, if like I wanted to play, where did he go? One of the Denver guys, but I don't know if we're going to be able to have him. So Bogdanovich is a really, really safe play that you can put in your cash builds no matter what. And then DK, it's real hard. because I wanted to play these Nuggets guys. So right now I'm backloading some of these spots to see if I can get some news. Right.
Okay.
So like I can't say like right now Korkmaz is our number one small forward points per dollar, but his minutes, I mean, we have projected for 22. Those aren't that safe. Like that's not a safe. And then Tobias Harris, like if you don't want to deal with the news, Tobias Harris at 7,800 on DK is fine. I think that's
let's
fine.
not jump to DK. Let's keep it on FanDuel here and
keep it on FanDuel. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll get to DK. Yeah.
So small forward on FanDuel, it's Bogdanovich. Then that's your guy. That's your guy.
But you need two of them.
Yeah. So I think Tobias Harris might be a little bit too expensive on FanDuel, but the problem is I don't know who else you go to. I think Durant's too expensive for cash games. Daniel House, he's going to get the minutes, but his usage is just it's pretty ugly. So it's just I'm trying to. I think you've got to find a way to try to backload and hope that you might be able to play Michael Porter Jr. later. That's who I really wanted to play on both sites, but I'm just not sure. Like Michael Porter Jr., he might end up being a good play anyway, even if Murray and Jokic both play. So it's FanDuel has some really, really tight pricing tonight on a really, really tough slate. So there's nothing screaming out to me other than Bogdanovich at small forward.
Okay, and with MPJ real quick, because we got to get moving here. If either one of Jokic or the guard are out, then do you like MPJ?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, you don't need them both out. You'll take it.
Yeah, but I would still. You could consider playing MPJ even if they both play,
sure,
which makes him very appealing to me. Like I don't need that. I don't need that news to play him.
Very good. All right, power forward
on FanDuel.
Yep.
All right. So it's the same. It's very similar, except for you can play Anthony Davis at power forward. And there's no LeBron tonight, so I think he's got to be the guy. Like he's got to be like your priority spend. So I think that's pretty easy. Like he is by far, I think the safest play, the safest stud. It's not the best matchup, but he is definitely the guy. I think that's kind of the easiest play is at power forward is Anthony Davis.
And then any other spots there? I mean, you need to fill in another one.
I'm interested to hear what Andre has to say about Ben Simmons, but he's a better play on DK, so we'll talk about that. But probably not for cash games on FanDuel at 7,800. I think it's Michael Porter Jr. you could do. He's another guy. But or Aaron Gordon. I think he's another option. But it is tough tonight in terms of finding like really, really standout value plays.
All right, and then center.
Yeah. So I think I want to get to Harrell at center. If I can.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure.
So I think he would be the guy.
Okay. Very good.
That I want to play. Yeah.
Fair enough. We can leave it there and then we'll talk some tournaments. Dre, the amount of Tostitos you've crushed is nothing but like awe-inspiring. I'm jealous. I'm proud. But I want your DK or your FanDuel takes here. So walk me through a tournament build.
Hold on real quick. All right. So okay, so sorry, I've got my screen share going too. So I have a couple of locks on both sides, but we're going to get specifically into FanDuel real quick. Yeah. I really do like Devin Booker here a lot today. I think he should be one of the first guys you get into your lineup. Anytime without Chris Paul, he has destroyed going against the Lakers.
And he gets the stocks too. Like when Chris Paul is out, he fills up, not the stocks, sorry, but like rebounds and assists, like
everything. He's a point guard. He does everything for the team. So I love him today. I think he's a priority. I think he's probably is a lock in my opinion. Along with the guys of Melton and Shake Milton, just because of the situation they're in, and particularly. So I love getting to those guys a lot today in tournament, on FanDuel and DK. So you can lock both of those guys in, all three of those guys in. I think those are probably the three definite guys you want to go with. And from there, it's just it's like a free fall crapshoot with tournaments. So I think you can play De'Aaron Fox, especially if you get news that John Morant is playing, but I think he's doubtful if I'm correct. But if he is playing, then but I only want to play really Fox if Morant is playing, because I don't know how much of a ceiling game he can have at 9-6. So that kind of is like what scares me off of it a little bit too. So I love Russell Westbrook at this price of 7-2. I think he's very, very, very interesting in tournaments, coming in at only 13%. I think he's going to get overlooked, and he's been playing absolutely fantastic without LeBron in the lineup. And coming off the bench. So Cameron Payne is obviously a strong play. I'm not going to ever talk bad about him again because he shut me up that one time. So I think he's a good play on this type of slate, especially going against the Lakers, who have not been great defensively lately. Let's go on the shooting guard. You can play Aaron Brooks if you want to, but I think 8K is too expensive for him. He's a good tournament play though. I don't mind it at all. I'm not. I know people are gonna probably ask about Kyrie. I think Kyrie is not a good play today because it's only his second game back after being out like a week or so, and he has to probably get a little bit more game shape. I think he only played 22 minutes the last time, if I'm correct. No, 26 minutes. I only had 22 fantasy points, so that's not encouraging a little bit. But it's also, like I said, his second game back, and they're going to Philly, so I would just pass on him. I do like Mikal Bridges for Phoenix. He might come a little bit overlooked just because of the other guys around him. I know we got about 26% right now, but because of, like you said, the stocks with Devin Booker, he's a guy that gets all that steals, blocks, assists, and his usage goes up, especially with no Chris Paul and with no Cam Johnson in there. So I love him today. I think he's a great play today. I kind of think Bruce Brown is in play regardless whether Jokic and Murray play or not. I think he's going to get the minutes regardless, and he has a chance to get obviously all categories: blocks, steals, rebounds, points, and assists. So he does a little bit of everything. So I think Bruce Brown is someone I think I would still consider playing, even at this price. And the ownership probably going to come in a little bit less than what it should be. So sorry, I'm trying to hurry up because I know it's 7:18 here. We're still on FanDuel. So small forward. I think you can go ahead and play like a guy like Royce O'Neal, especially against this Philly lineup that's going to be a little bit weaker. I do like Kevin Durant today. Brooklyn has not shown the ability to blow anyone out really. And they always play tough competitive games. So I think Kevin Durant can still be in play because you still might have to have him go off and get 27, 30 points with 7 rebounds and 5 assists. So he can still be in play at 11K. It's a little pricey, I understand that, but I think it's a fantastic play. I love the Bojan Bogdanovic call. I like that play a lot. So I do like Kevin Huerter a little bit too as well. Not a bad play. And Harrison Barnes. I think it's a great tournament play. I also, when it comes to small forward, power forward, we talk about Ben Simmons. I'm so iffy on him. I don't know what to think with him today. He's been playing well though lately, the last 2 games. I feel like he's been ramping up to get ready for this particular game. So, I'm assuming he's going to play well, but if you're making a lot of lineups, I would play him in one and to see what happens. So he's someone that would be kind of a priority in a sense a little bit today, and it's going to be a weaker lineup. So there's no reason why we shouldn't want to play him, especially at that price of 6.3 on DK, which is better than FanDuel 7.8. But the 7.8 makes it appealing because of the blocks and steals, which puts you in a good play. Jaren Jackson Jr. is an excellent, phenomenal tournament play, I think today, especially if we get John Morant not playing today. So I like Jaren Jackson Jr. and I do like Marvin. And I do also like Marvin Bagley a little bit, who's starting as well. And then center wise, I like DeAndre Ayton a good amount. Do not ever play DeAndre Jordan. You're just going to sink your lineups. And I also do not mind taking a shot with a guy like Steven Adams if you want to get a little bit different, as opposed to going with Montrezl Harrell. Harrell has not really had a good game against the Brooklyn Nets, dating back to when he was with the Clippers. So that's a long time ago. And Harrell also seems to not have been the same type of player, in my opinion, as far as giving energy. So I'm a little bit under on Harrell personally. But he can obviously be a tournament playing golf at any given moment. And Brandon Clark is someone I think is good in tournaments as well.
Okay, good stuff. Let's kick it over to DK. We've only got 10 minutes until lock. So, Tim, kind of walk me through the differences, and if you could, quickly position by position.
Yeah, just going to say something real quick. Jokic and Murray have cleared health and safety protocols, and they will warm up and see how they feel. So they're heading for a game time decision for both players. So take that for what you want. I'm just passing along the information. My guess is that they play. So, and you certainly can't depend on them being out. All right. So Shake Milton is your lock, just like on FanDuel. I'm playing DeAnthony Melton and Milton. I'm playing Montrezl Harrell. I think those are your three core cash game options on DK. I think that it's just, and then I think Anthony Davis is your kind of is your stud pay up option for me anyway. You could argue that it's Booker. I think he's certainly absolutely in the conversation. I can't figure out a good way of playing both because I don't think we're just not going to have the value. I don't really want to play guys, some of those cheap Philly guys, because I just can't depend on them. I don't want to play like a cheap Troy Brown so I feel like you have to go a little bit more balanced. I think that Alec Burks is viable for cash games. His minutes are at least secure. I don't think he has that much of a ceiling, but if we're just talking cash, I think he's okay. So yeah, I think that's kind of like your core. Those three Philly guys and AD would be what I would say are my core. That's where I would start. DeAndre Ayton, I think, has a really, really good price. But it's tough. It's tough. You can't just jam in everyone that you want tonight. So I'm going to stick with those three 76ers for now.
Okay. Any other guys you want to kind of talk about plugging in, maybe especially at the forward position, which seems especially difficult?
I mean, I'm playing Ben Simmons. So, but I mean, I can't say that that's like going to be a great play. Like he might end up just walking off the basketball court. Like I don't really know, so I don't want to say that that's like a core play. I don't want to say that I have like a ton of conviction. I think he's too cheap. I think I like that they've like kind of changed his role a little bit and kind of moved him away from being a facilitator. So I kind of like that, even though he might not have like the biggest ceiling, but for cash games, I'm playing him. So, and then I think that the other option is Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is not like a super high usage guy, but the 76ers are thin tonight. And, he's a quality player. I just think that his price is a little high. And I don't think I don't know. I'm taking a pass on him, but if you played him in cash games, I certainly wouldn't think that it would be horrible.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to add here before I kick it over to Dre for some tournament thoughts?
No, Dre can go.
Okay. Dre, talk to me on DK here.
Pretty much the same thing that I stated on with FanDuel. That's what I like for DK. I'm like I said, I'm locking in those three main guys: Melton, Booker, and Milton. I don't like Russell Westbrook on this site. He's too expensive. He's too expensive for me on the site for today. But I do kind of, like I said, I do like Bruce Brown still. Like I understand with them coming back, but he still has an opportunity to get those, like I said, the blocks, the steals, even though they don't count as much, and also the points, the assists, and the rebounds mainly. So he's someone I think he's still in play, someone I like a lot in tournaments. So he's someone I still would take some chances on at 6K. No, that's probably at the peak of his price, but he can give you a 40 spot. Like you said, balance build is probably the way to go, I think, on this slate, especially on DK. It's just a little bit harder. So to get like 2 stars, like I have those 3 main guys locked in my lines right now. I'm trying to get Anthony Davis, and I only have like 4,200 left, I believe, and it's not enough. I'm trying to figure out who I want, but not sure. For Korkmaz, he's a person that you can use as a salary saver. We just don't know how many minutes he's going to play, if so, because he has not really played much. So if you want to take some GPP shots with him and you're running 150, I don't mind that call. I think that's not that bad either. Joe Harris, you can spark a upside game for him, so he's someone that could be interesting today as well. I obviously have 4 or 5 and can get you around 20, 25 fantasy points if you're going with like a kind of like a stars and scrubsy build a little bit. And yeah, I think that's really it. Mainly, like I love DeAndre Ayton today. I like Claxton. I think he's an interesting play too over here as well. Bagley at 4.7 is good. Like and Harold is cheaper over here, so you're more viable to play him. But I think you can get some other guys. I don't even mind seeing a shot on a guy like Jalen Duran either, too, going against the Nuggets. But with Jokic coming back, probably you might get into some foul trouble. So yeah, I would just pay attention to the news before going that route.
Okay, very good. Guys, we've only got 3 minutes to lock. Don't forget that the FanDuel Single Entry Series is back for NFL. You can reserve your entry at the $5, $33, or $100 tier. You get weekly and seasonal prizes. Make sure you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook as well if you're in a legal sports betting state. They've got a Thanksgiving Day offer here. Bet $5 and get $125. Terms and conditions apply. And so make sure you are checking that out from our wonderful sponsor. Let's get to a few QQs before lock. I will start with Arlo, DK Cash, Tim, Korkmaz, parentheses, I'm already playing 4 Sixers, and AD, or Bridges and Payne, which gives me flexibility for Denver news.
Do the pain one, and hope to get some news.
Very good. Achilles, DK Cash. This is a 3v3. Tim, Harris, Ayton, Bridges, Booker, MPJ, Simmons.
I like the second one.
Yes, you do. Yeah. All right. Falcor says FanDuel's single entry. Dre, I'm giving this one to you. With all the news yet to break, should I lock in both Melton and Milton from Philly? I'm thinking maybe wait on the news, just play Milton at the lower price since Melton is 7-4, which seems insane.
I mean, yeah, but he's going to play like almost 40 minutes tonight, and Brooklyn is not one of the better defensive teams in the league. They're one of the worst. So, and they go the 3-ball a lot. So I would still lock both of them in personally.
Okay, fair enough. FanDuel single entry, Dre, coming right back to you, sir. This is only one spend up tonight. Who would it be? I feel like your answer is the Suns guy, right? Booker.
Devin Booker.
Yep. Yeah. DK Cash question for you, Tim. AD and Keegan Murray or Booker MPJ?
I think it's. I guess I don't really like. I don't want to play Murray, so I guess it's Booker MPJ.
Okay, very good. Let's see. DKGPP, Tobias, Jaren. Oh, okay. It's a 3v3 here for you, Dre. Tobias, Jaren, and Ivy, or Booker, Jaren, and Gordon?
Tobias, Jaren, Ivy, or Booker, who?
Booker, Jaren, and Gordon. So it's basically Tobias and Ivy, or Booker and Gordon.
Probably Tobias, Ivy.
Okay, very good. Let's see. FanDuel single entry, Dre. Melton or Westbrook in FanDuel? Melton 7-4, Westbrook is 7-2.
Westbrook.
Okay, very good. Caught up on all those Discord questions just in the nick of time. Let's see if we can. Any interest in Murray? K. Murray.
Very little.
Okay. All right. Harrell or Claxton?
Claxton. Sorry.
Very good. No. Very good. This is lightning round. Any worries about Tobias being limited?
What was his injury again?
I'm not that worried about
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't projected for 33 minutes, so
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, very good. Hey, with that, we hit the lock. Dre, how big is the bag of chips that you were eating from? Because is this a family size? Yeah, we got the family size, party size.
That's a serious bag of chips right
Yeah,
there.
that makes sense.
I'm
Because I was
sorry.
waiting. I figured you were just going to run out of chips, but it didn't. They just kept
No, he could last a few more shows with that bag.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see.
I have no idea who's playing tonight.
Nuggets, Pistons, tips, and half. Wow, that's fun. At least he's honest about it.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone. I hope he doesn't. Well, I hope they do play kind of in a way, or if not, they get late news that they don't play, and that way, you have Bruce Brown be an excellent tournament play.
Yeah. It really makes me want to wish that I had held off and just saved a lot of flexibility. Like,
I don't think we're gonna get like a whole like Denver,
It would be
a lot
nice
of guys.
to have a point guard. Oh,
it would be nice to have a point guard, is Mike Malone's
that
official
doesn't
take.
sound
there.
like anyone is playing.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting, and I wish I had more flexibility than I did, but good time to have the RG alerts. Make sure you've got those going because we push out those alerts and you can pivot as needed. Guys, anything you want to say before we get on out of here?
Ja Morant is starting playing, so yeah.
Okay. Very good.
That's somebody might want to know that. Sorry, Kevin.
No, that's great. That is a very good way to close things out here. So for Tim, for Dre, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love it, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.